Hi guys, welcome back to Fragments of a Simple Life, where every video I make is super simple. Today is a different kind of magazine video. Fall is upon us. I believe the first day of fall is like literally tomorrow. So I went to the grocery store and I was checking out and I found this magazine that I've never seen before. It's America's Scariest Places, Haunted, Creepy, Abandoned, Most Terrifying Sites in Every State here in America. So if this is not something that you're into, like the Halloween creepy vibes, maybe that's not your version of ASMR. Maybe you don't find it relaxing. But if you do want to hear me read some facts and interesting stories about, different places like the Alamo, prisons or frightening cemeteries, these are all just places that seem to have a creepy history. I'm not going to read them in order because you'll see when we go through the table of contents that they actually are in like chapters. So my plan is to kind of just flip through the pages, find one, and read it. Then I have this little pack of gray post-its trying to keep with the dark theme. I have some gray post-its, and for every story I read, I'll place a post-it so that way we can do this magazine at least one, maybe even two more times, and I won't repeat stories. So I'm gonna open it and we're gonna get started. Okay, so this says America's Scariest Places, Haunted, Creepy, and Abandoned. And this picture has a little caption that says, Rangers who live at the California ghost town of Bodie say they see shadows going across doorways, perhaps voices where no one should be, one ranger told the Daily Press. So of course we have a table of contents, and if you know me or know my channel, you know I usually just skip right over it so I can be surprised with you guys. But this is kind of a different vibe of a magazine, so I want to read to you the chapters. We have the introduction that's called Enter If You Dare. Chapter 1, Bloody Murder and Death. That makes me nervous for like this whole entire section. Chapter 2, Creepy Prisons and Institutions. I think that's a little less scary. Chapter 3, Eerie Exhibitions, such as Pearl Harbor Aviation Museum. Then we have Chapter 4, The Ghost of War, which is exactly how it sounds, like the Alamo, Fort Knox, stuff like that. Chapter 5, Spooky Churches and Graveyards. Chapter 6, Haunted Hotels. Of course, you have to get some hotels. And then down here it just says an extra dose of fright, more scary places. And then we have pictures, and they tell us which one is each one is. This says Enter If You Dare. This magazine is creeping me out. Okay, I'm glad I'm doing this with you guys because I'm already getting creeped out. It says Sarah Winchester, heiress to the gun fortune, built a home in California with stairs that lead to nowhere. I've heard this story before. Her spirit is among several that haunt the mansion. So I'm going to read this right here. Enter if you dare. Be afraid. Be very afraid. It says, from the outside, the 18th century villa atop a hill in New York City's Harlem neighborhood looks like a charming mansion promising a trip back into American history. But learn a little about the villa's dark past, the lonely old woman who spent her final years holed up in the mansion, slowly sinking into insanity, and then the Moorish Jomo mansion feels less like something from the history books and more like a plot from a horror movie. And that's before the woman's ghost appears on the porch. In these pages, you'll get up close and uncomfortable with this spirit and all her ghostly cohorts across the U.S. Climb the steps into houses where the specter of death lingers in every room. Unbolt the heavy doors to prisons and mental health hospitals, where the inmates and patients still cry out in pain. Venture into the fog of war for tales of soldiers who keep fighting long after falling in battle. Wander through haunted cemeteries and churches God couldn't save, and explore the museum collections that send chills down the spine. And get ready to check into historic hotels where turned down service might be provided by a ghostly specter. These are America's scariest places. Ooh. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to just randomly flip through the pages because they go chapter by chapter. That way we don't read like 5 stories in a row that are all about hotels. So I'm going to just really do that now and we'll see where we land. Okay. Ah, no, ventriloquism. Horrible. Okay. So the first one that we land on is from the chapter that's about eerie exhibitions, and this is called Vent Haven Museum of Ventriloquism. They're looking at you, dummy. And this is located in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. Oh my gosh, I'm scared. Okay. It says, nothing is quite so lifelike and dead at the same time as a ventriloquist dummy. And at the Vent Haven Museum of Ventriloquism, I feel like I'm saying that word wrong, sorry guys, the world's only museum dedicated to ventriloquism, there are hundreds of them. They all sit stiff and upright, heavy-lidded with glassy eyes that are looking at nobody and nothing in particular until... Did that one just blink? The museum grew out of the collection of the delightfully named William Shakespeare Berger, who served as president of the, and this is a real thing, International Brotherhood of Ventriloquists, which today has about 1,000 members. Starting with his first dummy, Tommy Baloney, in 1910, Berger, who went by W.S., amassed a collection of 900 figures dating back to the 1800s. 900 of these. Terrifying. Along with rare photos, puppets, scripts, playbills, posters, recordings. Dang. Vent Haven for a ventriloquist or for a ventriloquist haven opened in 1973, and the wooded body count has grown to more than 1,000, with 15,000 visitors to the museum in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky. Yikes. Among the most popular exhibits is a replica of legendary ventriloquist Edgar, that's him, Bergen, his alter ego, Charlie McCarthy, that's him right there, with a top hat, a tux, a monocule. What is amazing about the museum is that about 95% of what is here is one of a kind. Curator Lisa Swinsey told Smithsonian Magazine, ventriloquists would use a dummy for their whole career. If you were to pick any dummy at random, it's unique, which I think is pretty amazing. The museum also sponsors the Summer Vent Haven Convention for ventriloquists, new and experienced, with panel discussions and seminars. What? While not intended to be scary when they debuted on the vaudeville stage in the 19th century, ventriloquist dummies were embraced by horror directors in movies like 1978's Magic and 2007's Dead Silence. Vent Haven has no ghosts. It doesn't have to. The dummies are frightening enough. See, that one wasn't very scary. That's very soft entry point, right? So I'm going to take one of these Post-its and I'm literally going to put it here so we know that we read it already and we don't have to do that story again. All right, let's move on. Ooh, okay. St. Louis Cemetery number 1. This is from the chapter called Spooky Churches and Graveyards, and it's in New Orleans. And it says, a voodoo queen's tomb is loved to death. Whoa. That's this right here. It says, anyone caught defacing Marie Laveau's, I'm probably saying that wrong, Lavenou, I don't know. I'm not good with French, guys. But her tomb, you face a hefty fine. Her prickly spirit is said to roam the cemetery, pinching or scratching anybody who doesn't believe in voodoo. Oh no. Okay. I'm kind of scared. Okay. In the old cemetery, dreams can come true. According to legend, all you have to do is draw an X on the whitewashed tomb of Madame, again, Lavenou, I don't know. Something like that, you guys. Turn around 3 times, knock on the tomb, and then yell out the wish. If the voodoo queen delivers, leave her an offering. Ooh, creepy. The ritual went on for decades at the historic St. Louis Cemetery number 1. How many are there? A few blocks from the Mississippi River in New Orleans. The 200-year-old block-sized burial ground holds 700 souls in a maze of crumbling tombs and chipped headstones in above-ground crypts to accommodate the shallow water table. Yikes. It reminds me of England. Man, you can find some old graveyards in England. Old churches. They have so much history compared to America. Anyways, I digress. One of the 3 graveyards operated by the Catholic Diocese. It has been featured in Hollywood movies from Easy Rider to Interview with a Vampire and drawn visitors for its famous tombs. Actor Nicolas Cage, while still very much alive, intends to spend eternity here, having purchased a 9-foot gleaming white pyramid inscribed with the Latin phrase Omnia ab uno, all from one. Along with the celebrated dead, the cemetery has a reputation for the paranormal. The many spirits include duped sailor named Henry I don't know. Again, I'm not good with French names, guys. An early 19th century seaman who purchased a tomb in the cemetery and entrusted his boarding house proprietor to maintain the paperwork while he was off at sea. By the time he returned, the devious proprietor sold the tomb. So I guess he's a pissed ghost, huh? And the seafarer would end up buried in an unmarked pauper's grave. Visitors now say they see, again, Vinez, I don't know how you say it. Is the G silent when it's French? I don't know. Wandering the graveyard in search of his family's tomb. Some claim they've captured his ghost on camera, along with a male voice on electronic voice phenomenon recording, exclaiming, "I need to rest." Nope. No, thank you. Another lost ghost is that of a man named Alphonse, who is said to grab visitors' hands and ask them to bring him home. His apparition has also been seen gathering flowers from other graves to place on his own tomb. What? No. I'm terrified. But the most famous grave has always been that of one of the most colorful figures of New Orleans past, which is Marie. I'm sorry, guys. If you're from New Orleans, tell me how to say it. Is it Marie Lavenou or Laveau? I don't know. But she's a voodoo. She's probably going to be mad at me now. The voodoo practitioner known for her bright dresses and her signature turban. You can see it right there. She died in 1897, and she now rests here in this tomb. That explains all the X's. Tourists flock to the cemetery to shower Madame with gifts of coins, flowers, candles, beer cans, and once a chicken. Yuck. I'm not going to say what was wrong with the chicken. Just say ew. But it's those X's that pose problems as visitors deface the tomb with markers, crayon, and lipstick. When somebody painted the tomb pink. Oh my gosh. In 2013, the cemetery's caretakers had enough. They restricted the cemetery to family of the dead and approved tour guide companies. Local tour operators filed a lawsuit saying the restrictions violated state and federal antitrust laws and equated to price fixing. In 2022, the federal appeals courts dismissed the suit, and the tour companies plan to appeal the Supreme Court. Jeez. Pirate Jean Lafitte haunts New Orleans. So here's another one about New Orleans. Just a little snippet right here. It says gambler, drinker, and legendary pirate Jean Lafitte left, pillaged the Spanish Main, bedded beautiful women, and traded in slaves long after the practice was outlawed. That's not good. But the War of 1812 turned this scoundrel into an unlikely hero. At the Battle of New Orleans, Lafitte was recruited by then General Andrew Jackson, lured by a pardon for piracy, and was instrumental in helping the Americans fight off the British. After the war, Lafitte returned to his pirate ways, and today still prowls in his old Big Easy haunts. The ghost has been sighted at the old Absinthe House Bar, which is right here on the right, with Jackson, and can be heard upstairs partying with his pirate cohorts. Ooh, very creepy. Okay, we read this one. Let's go back to the beginning of the magazine and we'll see what else we can find. Okay, now we turned to lighthouses, haunted lighthouses. Creepy prisons and institutions is the chapter that we landed on, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different lighthouses to read about just on these 2 pages. So the first one is here, St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida. It says, "Don't let the cheery candy stripe paint job fool you," which is right here. This lighthouse in St. Augustine, Florida has a dark history, pockmarked with several tragic deaths. During construction in 1873, three girls, Mary and Eliza Pitty, along with a 10-year-old friend, so here they are, drowned when the builder's cart they were riding in plunged into the ocean. Later, a worker fell to his death from scaffolding while painting the lighthouse. Now operating as a museum, the lighthouse offers ghost tours with visitors saying they felt their ankles grabbed and heard the sound of the girls playing. One tour guide said she was suddenly locked inside the lighthouse, describing the experience as definitely one of those jaw-dropping, I can't believe this is happening, how do we get out moments. Nope. No, thank you. Okay, right here, number 2, this man's name is Captain William Robinson, and this is the White River Light Station in Michigan. Captain William Robinson, the first keeper of this lighthouse on Lake Michigan, spent 47 years there, raising 13 children with his wife in a house built of limestone while operating the light that guided boats through the channel connecting the Great Lake to White Lake. He was said to have only retired at age 87 and died in the keeper's house the night before he was due to move out. With such a deep attachment to the lighthouse, it's no wonder that Robinson's spirit wouldn't want to leave. Today, the cane he used near the end of his life can be heard tapping on the floors. Built in 1875, the lighthouse was near Whitehall, Michigan, operating until 1960. Along with its haunted reputation, it has the distinction of employing Frances Marshall, the last known female lighthouse keeper in Michigan, who'd taken over for Robinson. That's fascinating. Okay. Number 3 is right here. Lookout Point Lighthouse in Maryland. with its brutal history as a prison camp during the Civil War, where as many as 8,000 Confederate inmates died. The park has heavy paranormal baggage from the spirits of those suffering souls. But the hotbed of ghostly activity is said to be the lighthouse south of the town of Scotland, Maryland. Built in 1830, so even older, and active for 135 years, the lighthouse no longer guides ships, but it does seem to send out a beacon to the great beyond. No fewer than 24 different disembodied voices have been heard in the building, some apparently soldiers. Fire if they get close to you, one voice has said, to have ordered to its unseen military mates. Another voice said the words, "my home," suggesting this might be the spirit of Anne Davis, who was married to the original keeper. And this right here says, photo of Confederate prisoners at Point Lookout swearing the oath of allegiance. And this here is the burial place of the Confederate soldiers who died at the camp. And there it is right there. Interesting. This is Sheffield Island Lighthouse in Connecticut. It's really pretty to be something that's like haunted. It says sometimes a foghorn can be heard bellowing from the lighthouse, which seems reasonable enough until you realize that the structure doesn't have a horn. Then there's the eerie sounds of music that ship crews hear drifting across the water. Could this be the ghost of the lighthouse keeper who mysteriously died? Or is it the spirit of the owner of the Connecticut island back in the 1800s who liked to play musical instruments? The historic lighthouse, perched on the Norwalk River at the north end of Long Island Sound, operated from 1868 until 1902, when it was deactivated and eventually turned into a museum with spooky tours for people to decide for themselves whether it's truly haunted. That's pretty good. It's like 4 short stories on these 2 pages. Okay, you guys have to remind me that I did both these sides already. Let's see if we can find at least one more. Let's see. Oh, there's a lot on that page. Ooh, let's end with Lizzie Borden House, a story that most of us probably are very familiar with. This is from the Bloody Murder and Death chapter. Sorry if that's offensive to anybody, but this is Fall River, Massachusetts. The scene of 2 infamous killings now scares guests as an inn. There she is right there. And then this is the house. The magazine's not crooked. The house is crooked in the magazine. Okay, it says, a TikToker who goes by the name of Creepy Caitlin used to work at the old Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts, where a couple had been hacked to death with an axe, and she would often scoff at those gullible enough to think the place was haunted. But then she aimed her camera phone at the chimney, and there it was, over the wash kettle against the back wall, a face with a beard and creepy hollow eyes looking right back at her, all captured for her social media followers. Ew. Creepy Caitlin scoffs no more, for this eerie visage looked like Andrew Jackson Borden, who was hit as many 11. Sorry, there's like a typo in the paragraph. Who was hit as many as 11 times with an axe on August 4th, 1892, while taking a nap. His bloody corpse found lying on the downstairs sofa. One of his eyeballs had been sliced in half. Okay, this has got really gruesome. Sorry, guys. In the upstairs guest room, his wife Abby was struck 18 times in the head. Some people say it wasn't her, it was like her uncle or something. I feel like that's like one of the things that people say. A lot of people don't think it was her. The natural suspect was Andrew's 32-year-old daughter, Lizzie, who never warmed to her stepmother, Abby, who had married Andrew 2 years after Lizzie's mother died. Lizzie felt that Mrs. Borden, as she insisted on being called, married Andrew for his money. It didn't help Lizzie's cause that she was at home at the time of the killings, along with the maid, and gave strange and contradictory statements to the police. Arrested on double murder charges, Lizzie went on trial in a sensational case that scandalized Victorian-era America and made big news. The prosecution pulled out all the legal stops to inflame the jury's emotion, even introducing into evidence the victims' bashed-in skulls. Gross, I didn't even know that. But Lizzie was still acquitted and returned to her home, even though most locals thought she got away with murder, and she died at the age of 66 in 1927. Now, a scary bed and breakfast, guests can spend the night in the room where Abby was killed and where a woman in a nightgown has been spotted. So what do you guys think? Was Lizzie Borden guilty or innocent? I think I've read some stuff about the story, and obviously seen a lot of videos like on YouTube and stuff. I know that some people believe that her uncle, I think, was nearby or something, and that the uncle and the maid were all in cahoots, and the uncle like came and went, which is why Lizzie Borden didn't have any blood on her, because he really did it, but they all wanted the money, her parents' money, but they had to get the dad and the stepmom out of the way. I don't know. That's just what I've heard. I don't know if that's actually true at all, but okay. I'm going to save some of this magazine for the future because we're not even in Halloween month yet. But thank you guys for letting me show you America's Scariest Places, the haunted, creepy, and abandoned. There is a ton more to go through in this magazine. So many things that we haven't read. We could probably, like I said, do a video with this magazine several more times, but I need you guys to let me know with likes and comments if you want to see more of this or if it's too creepy. If you don't think it's ASMR, you are more than welcome to give me your opinion. I just wanted to try something different. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this magazine. This is way off of my normal path, but I have all kinds of hobbies and interests. and I kind of like scary stuff. I find it fascinating. Don't know how much I believe or how much I don't believe, but I like the historical part of it at least. Thanks for watching, guys. Ooh, I'll see you next time.